On June 12, 2025, Air India Flight 171 took off from Ahmedabad Airport in India, embarking on its journey to Gatwick Airport in the United Kingdom. Tragically, mere seconds after takeoff, the Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner experienced a catastrophic failure and crashed into the hostel block of BJ Medical College, nestled in the Meghaninagar neighbourhood of Ahmedabad, Gujarat. The aircraft was carrying a total of 242 individuals, comprising 230 passengers and 12 crew members. This tragic incident not only marked a devastating loss of life, but also represented a significant milestone in aviation history, as it was the first hull loss of a Boeing 787 Dreamliner and marked the first recorded fatalities associated with this particular aircraft model, the best-selling passenger widebody aircraft of all time. The Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner involved in this incident was registered as VT-ANB and had a serial number of 36279. At the time of the crash, the aircraft was 11 years old. The aircraft was assembled at the Boeing facility in Everett, Washington, while its fuselage sections were manufactured at the Boeing production facility in Charleston, South Carolina. It was delivered to Air India on January 28, 2014, and was powered by two advanced General Electric GEnx 1B67 engines, which are designed for fuel efficiency and reduced emissions. In 2023, Air India began operating flights to London Gatwick to meet the increasing demand for air travel between India and the UK. At the time of the incident, the airline had a robust schedule with 12 weekly departures to Gatwick, which included 5 flights from Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad Airport is situated near densely populated residential areas, raising previous concerns about the potential consequences in the event of an aviation emergency. The tragic flight was carrying a total of 242 individuals, among them 11 children and 2 infants, along with a crew consisting of 2 pilots and 10 flight attendants, and the passenger list revealed a diverse international representation, including 169 Indian nationals, 53 British citizens, 7 Portuguese passengers, and a single Canadian traveller on board. The captain that day was Sumit Sabharwal, a seasoned pilot aged 55 who had an impressive 8,200 hours of flying experience. He was assisted by First Officer Clive Kunda, aged 32, who had accumulated 1,100 hours of flight time. Flight 171 departed from runway 23 of Ahmedabad Airport at 13:38 Indian Standard Time, or 0808 Coordinated Universal Time, heading to London Gatwick. According to the METAR reports issued at that time, the weather conditions at the airport were relatively calm. Light surface winds were recorded at speeds ranging from 3 to 6 knots. Visibility was at 6 kilometres, and there was no significant cloud cover, indicating a seemingly safe environment for takeoff. The aircraft's automatic dependent surveillance broadcast transponder recorded a maximum pressure altitude of 625 feet before losing its signal at 080850 UTC while at approximately 230 feet. Within seconds of takeoff, the flight crew issued a mayday call, reporting a critical loss of power and thrust, signalling the onset of an emergency. Video evidence from the scene showed the aircraft initially climbing but then gradually descending while pitching upwards. Eyewitness accounts from residents in the Meghaninagar area described the terrifying experience, with reports of multiple explosions and thick smoke rising from the crash site as the aircraft struck a building and skidded. The plane impacted a residential area within the civil hospital campus, colliding with both the doctor's quarters and the students' hostel buildings associated with BJ Medical College. Remarkably, sections of the aircraft, including partially intact stabilizers and the tail cone, were found resting on top of the multi-story hostel building. This tragic incident represented Air India's first fatal loss since the bombing of Air India Flight 182 in 1985. In response to the disaster, the Ahmedabad Fire and Emergency Services Department quickly mobilized units from various divisions across the city. The initial emergency call to the control room was logged at 1:45 p.m. local time. 2 dedicated firefighting teams were immediately dispatched from the Naroda GIDC area, and a brigade call was issued to gather additional assistance. Over 300 firefighters, along with 60 fire vehicles and 20 water bowsers, were deployed to the crash site, where they faced the challenging task of managing the aftermath. In addition to the firefighters, multiple ambulances, including 20 emergency vehicles from the fire department, were rushed to the location to provide medical support. To ensure safety and facilitate rescue operations, authorities closed all roads leading to the crash site and surrounding areas. Among the first responders were members of the Central Industrial Security Force, responsible for security at Ahmedabad Airport. Coordinated efforts also included teams from the Indian Army, Border Security Force, Central Reserve Police Force, National Disaster Response Force, and Western Railways, all working collaboratively to assist with the rescue and relief operations. A military hospital was put on standby in case of any potential casualties. To aid in the cleanup, the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation deployed over 150 vehicles, including earth movers, excavators, trucks and rollers to clear debris from the crash site. Engineers and personnel from the health department were also mobilized, while municipal hospitals were placed on high alert and prepared for emergencies. Following the disaster, all flight operations at the airport were suspended, with limited capacity gradually resuming later in the day. The tragic crash resulted in the deaths of 241 passengers and crew members aboard the aircraft, as well as at least 28 individuals in the nearby hostel buildings. By June 13, law enforcement officials informed BBC News that 6 bodies had been positively identified and released to their grieving families. Among those who perished was Vijay Rupani, the former Chief Minister of Gujarat from 2016 to 2021. His identity was confirmed through dental records due to the severely charred remains. Sadly, the identification process for many victims was significantly hindered by the extreme conditions of the wreckage, with temperatures soaring to an estimated 1,500 degrees Celsius, making DNA identification practically impossible. Only 35 bodies had been returned to their families just 3 days after the crash. In addition, at least 50 medical students from the hostel building suffered injuries and were subsequently hospitalized. The college dean reported that the aircraft struck a dining hall, while between 60 to 80 students were inside. Fortunately, most students managed to escape, but tragically 10 to 12 were caught in the fire. Among those aboard the aircraft, a 40-year-old British citizen emerged as the sole survivor. He had been seated in seat 11A, strategically located next to an emergency exit. Remarkably, he described how the section of the aircraft he occupied detached from the main fuselage and landed on the ground floor of the hostel. After freeing himself from his seatbelt, he made his escape through an opening created by the emergency exit that had broken open upon impact. Medical reports indicated that he was disoriented and suffering from multiple injuries, including severe burns to his left hand, but fortunately, his condition was stabilized and he was no longer in immediate danger. Sadly, his brother, who had been seated several rows away, did not survive the catastrophe. After an intense 28 hours of searching, officials from the National Security Guard and the AAIB reported the successful recovery of the flight data recorder, one of the 2 critical flight recorders installed on the aircraft. Later that same day, the Gujarat Anti-Terrorism Squad retrieved a digital video recorder from the wreckage, which contains footage from both external and cabin-mounted cameras and is distinct from the certified flight recorders. By June 15th, it was announced that the cockpit voice recorder had also been recovered from the crash site, adding valuable information for investigators. Simultaneously, India's Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, and Air India initiated parallel inquiries into the tragedy. On June 13th, the DGCA mandated additional pre-departure technical inspections for the airline's Boeing 787 fleet, set to commence on June 15th. Furthermore, the DGCA directed Air India to implement thorough maintenance checks and inspections pertaining to fuel parameter monitoring systems, cabin air compressors, electronic engine control systems, engine fuel-driven actuator operations, and oil system checks specifically for the Boeing 787-8 and 787-9 models. On June 14, Indian Aviation Minister Kinjarapu Ram Mohan Naidu informed reporters that a government panel tasked with investigating the crash would aim to deliver a comprehensive report within a 3-month timeline. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the crash site on June 13, where he met with emergency responders and then proceeded to the hospital to meet the lone survivor of the crash, as well as the injured individuals on the ground. Following the incident, Home Minister Amit Shah engaged in discussions with Chief Minister of Gujarat Bhupendra Patel, emphasising the need for immediate rescue and relief operations, asserting that officials were to act on a war footing. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer publicly expressed his heartfelt condolences to the victims and their families. In response, the UK Foreign Office mobilised crisis response teams to assist in both India and the UK. During the Trooping the Colour ceremony in London on June 14, a moment of silence was observed, during which senior members of the British royal family donned black armbands in memory of the victims, honouring the request of King Charles III. Air India chairman Natarajan Chandrasekaran characterised Flight 171's involvement in the incident as a tragic accident and extended his deepest condolences to all affected by the calamity. He underscored that the airline's primary goal is to support the victims and their families, assist emergency services, and provide updates based on verified information. An emergency support centre and dedicated teams were established to offer assistance to those seeking information. Air India CEO Campbell Wilson emphasised the gravity of the situation, stating, "This is a difficult day for all of us at Air India," and confirmed that special teams of caregivers would be deployed to offer additional support as the investigation proceeds. On the day of the tragic crash, Tata Group, the parent corporation of Air India, swiftly announced a compensation package, approximately $120,000 for each family of the passengers who perished in the accident. In addition to this compensation, Tata Group pledged to cover all medical expenses incurred by the injured passengers, demonstrating their commitment to support those affected during this difficult time. Moreover, the company outlined plans to assist in the reconstruction of the BJ Medical College building. In response to the loss of not only passengers but also medical students caught in the crash, the Indian Medical Association urged Tata Group to expand their compensation offer to include these students, recognising their potential and the tragic loss that their families have faced. Under the regulations of the Montreal Convention, Air India is also obligated to pay around $180,000 to the families of each deceased passenger, ensuring compliance with international standards for airline liability. In light of the solemn event, Air India made the decision to retire the flight number AI-171 associated with the tragic incident, along with its reciprocal flight number AI-172. The airline has since opted to rebrand the routes under new identifiers, AI-159 and AI-160, to signify a departure from the past and a move toward future safety and service. Furthermore, Air India Express, which operates as a subsidiary within the larger Air India group, has taken similar steps by retiring the flight number IX-171, marking a significant transition in their operational practices following the disaster. Investigating plane crashes is a complex process that can take months or even years to determine the cause. However, initial insights from videos and photos of the recent Air India crash have caught the attention of aviation experts who have speculated on the potential reasons behind the incident. Early theories suggested that the accident was caused by the co-pilot mistakenly deploying the plane's wing flaps instead of retracting the landing gear. However, a clearer version of the crash footage, the key moments now visible in the higher quality footage, indicate that the crash was likely the result of a significant loss of power or a dual engine failure. A recent video uploaded to YouTube by Captain Steve Schreiber, a commercial airline pilot known for analysing plane crashes and near misses, highlights a little grey dot beneath the aircraft's right wing. Schreiber explained that this dot previously undetectable in the grainier versions of the clip, suggests that the ram air turbine, RAT, was deployed during the incident. Many airplanes are equipped with a RAT. It is located just behind the wing on the right side of the aircraft, concealed behind a small door. It resembles a small Evinrude motor with a two-bladed propeller. The purpose of the ram air turbine is to provide electrical and hydraulic pressure for the aircraft during extreme emergencies. He now believes that the Air India aircraft experienced a dual-engine failure. Schreiber noted that the initial video did not effectively capture the sound of the RAT, but the clearer original video did. He suspects that the issue could have been related to electrical problems, hydraulic failures, or a combination of both. However, given that the airplane seemed to be descending uncontrollably, this suggests the possibility of a dual-engine failure. The fact that the landing gear was still down suggests that the pilots either made a conscious decision to keep it extended or did not have enough time to retract it when they should have. This implies that they were facing other urgent issues at that moment. Schreiber also mentioned that the brief interval between takeoff and the crash was very unusual compared to other aviation disasters. And because the crash occurred so soon after the start of the flight, pilots typically have the opportunity to abort takeoff if something isn't functioning correctly. In time, we will discover what really happened to Air India Flight 171. Until we know for sure, all anyone can do is speculate. Our thoughts go out to all those affected by the devastating consequences of the crash.